Hey everybody. Um, I made a quick video previously and I think I'm going to take that down because this video is going to be more elaborative on this topic. So this video is mainly for the ladies. However, the message here for men is that to give us ladies some grace if we did screw up. If we have breached Song of Song or Song of Solomon 8:4, if we have foolishly come to you and said, hey, I think you're my husband, give us a little grace on that. Not all of us had the healthiest upbringings, and some of us just some people don't have anybody, and you know, I'm one of those people, and I've seen many other people on YouTube who've said the same thing, you know. And so the message here for men is just to give us ladies some grace, but the rest of this mainly is going to be for the ladies. Okay, so my channel is a very well, it's like me. It's transparent, it's humble, and it shows its mistakes. And so I'm sharing my journey, and that includes, you know, my humanity, my hypocrisy. But hopefully, you know, when I share my mistakes, I can, you know, hopefully get you guys, or tell you guys not to do what I've done, right? So an area of weakness for me is, you know, my desire for a husband, and that's always been a big deal for me because I come from a very broken, screwed up family and everything, and have never really had much of a support system. So this is the area where I tend to fumble a lot, despite having all this head knowledge. So I just want to combine and summarize and share all the different stuff that the Lord has been bringing to my attention. So I do this with prophecies, but I also, right now in this video, I'm going to do it with kind of just some insight and some teaching and sharing of testimonies and things like that on this topic of us ladies waiting for our husband. So I'm just going to, so yeah, just combine a lot of stuff. So where to begin? So, and I might like share some videos below in the description box, you know, anything relevant, scripture, videos, whatever, I'll put that below. But what the Lord has been, like, so a few weeks ago, about 2.5 weeks ago, or no, maybe about 3 weeks ago, I screwed up, and I breached, Song of Songs 8:4, which says, you know, do not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. And what that means in layman's terms is, the full verse says, I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem. So this is specifically for us ladies. And what it means in layman's terms is, you know, it's not God's natural ordination or design. It's not the natural order of things for the woman to be the pursuer, or to take the initiative regarding courtship and all of that. And the Lord has showed me, he taught me that years ago. Like, I know better, but it's like I get into these places in my head where, like, I seem to forget that wisdom, or I'll somehow convince myself, like, well, I'm not really pursuing, like, even though technically I am. And so I don't know if you can relate to that or not, but if you can, this video is especially for you. But anyway, so what the Lord has been showing me since I screwed things up with the guy that I think is my future husband about 3 weeks ago, after I screwed it up, then the Lord decides to show me all these different videos and give me all these insights and all this wisdom and all this. So I'm just going to share with you what the Lord has been sharing with me for the last 3 weeks. So first of all, it seems that the Lord will reveal to the woman who her husband is before he reveals it to the husband who the wife is. And the biblical like insight that I've gleaned from some videos is that you can look at Rebecca and Isaac, you can look at Mary and Joseph. So bottom line, it seems to be like established at this point that the Holy Spirit will start giving the women clues as to who your future husband is, whether it's, you know, just characteristics of your husband's personality, or just any little tidbits about him, you know, maybe what he likes, what he does, you know, all kinds of stuff. Now, actually, long before the past 3 weeks, what the Lord had shown me along my journey at different points throughout the years is I've heard many testimonies. And you know what? I'm going to share all of it. I'm going to put all of this in this video. So I've heard many testimonies from people who were both walking with Jesus, people who were more lukewarm. I mean, like, I've heard so many testimonies, particularly from, you know, of women, about, like, how God fulfilled, like, even the physical characteristics of what they want in a man. So years ago in church, there was this guy that I knew, and at the time I was in like my early mid-20s, and he was like around 30, give or take, and he had like salt and pepper hair, and he was kind of handsome and kind of funny, and you know, so like all us younger ladies in the church were like, ooh, you know, like whoever ends up with him is lucky, or is blessed, you know, whatever. So all of a sudden he began dating this woman, and so I ended up talking to her one day, and she shared her testimony with me that she kept, you know, like one of the like little like icing on the cake requests that she put like in her prayer request for a husband to God was like that she wanted a man with salt and pepper hair, and sure enough, that's what she got. And I actually ran into them maybe a couple years later, and they were married, and you know, like my own cousin actually years ago, she had asked for some kind of physical characteristics, and that's what she got in her husband as well. It's like, so I've heard a lot of testimonies about like just the physical look of your future husband, like what you want him to look like or whatever, that God will grant that or whatever. A few years ago, I heard a testimony, an older woman, I forget if she was divorced or widowed, but anyway, she was no longer married one way or the other. And she said that she was talking to God, and she just said, you know, Lord, it would be nice to have a husband again, and, you know, but I'm too old to be going out trying to find him and whatever, so, you know, I ask you for a husband, but I'm not really gonna, you know, bother myself to go looking for him. If you want me to have one, you're gonna have to bring him to my front doorstep. Like, that's what she actually said to God. Well, long story short, she, like, her next husband literally came to her doorstep. So it was some guy that she had known from like high school or something, and I guess he was going through a divorce or something, and he had moved back into the area, and somehow he found out where she lived or something, and he literally came to her house and rang her doorbell, and they began a friendship, and one thing led to another, and then eventually they got married. So I just want to encourage some ladies out there, any single ladies out there, that, you know, God does hear our prayers, and he does grant our prayers, our requests. But I also want to share, like I said, the wisdom and the insight that that the Holy Spirit has been leading me to in various ways over the last 3 weeks. So apparently, and some of this stuff, like, the Lord keeps like drilling, like, because he keeps like having different people say it and whatever. So apparently, and this goes for both men and women, this little tidbit, your future spouse is not going to be your normal type. So, like, for example, the guy that at this point, I really am convinced he's my future husband. If I'm wrong, may the Lord give me that revelation and confirmation. But it seems like he's been confirming out the yazoo who my future husband is. And, but like, now, yes, he's a godly man, you know, and that's ultimately what we care about, right? But like, just like his outward appearance and whatever, like, he kind of dresses somewhat like a hipster, and that's not really what I would go for. You know, like I'm a good 6 years older than him, and you know, so I'm slightly from a different generation, and you know, just like a lot of the stuff that he wears is just like it's kind of dorky in my opinion, but like, hey, whatever. Like, but is that what is that what really matters? You know, no, it's not. You know, so I've heard that at least twice, if not more, lately, that your future spouse is not going to be the normal type that you would go for. And it's not just necessarily like physical looks or style. It could be, you know, maybe you're looking for someone with like a doctorate degree and instead they're doing manual labor or, you know, whatever. Like these are all like outward things, right? So I want to share that if you haven't come across that yet yourself. I think I've said in a previous video, there was one lady who shared her testimony that, like, God, you know, told her, revealed to her, confirmed to her who her husband was, and, like, her husband didn't realize it and actually come to her and pursue her and, like, confess to her, like, oh, the Lord showed me you're my wife, or whatever, like, till, like, 2.5 years after the fact. Like, till, like, so, yeah, so this video is both going to be encouraging, but also kind of like, you know, like, oh, we might have to wait that long. Now, granted, I do believe we are, like, on the brink of the tribulation, and so I do think, you know, that all the prophecies about how God is going to be accelerating and expediting and all this and that, I do think that that applies to an extent. I'm hoping. But it's really important for us to know and remember this verse in Song of Songs, Song of Solomon, whatever you want to call it. Chapter 8, verse 4, I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem, do not stir up nor awaken love until it pleases. Now, this is where I've screwed up, so I hope you ladies don't. Do not go to him and tell him, I've screwed up in this area big time. But don't do what I did. Don't go to him and tell him. Wait for him to come to you. And that's really for the best for your relationship, and it's really for the best for both of you individually in the long run, in the big picture, because, you know, ladies, we really need to be able to feel confident that our man really does want us. And, you know, if you go ahead and try to plant seeds or, you know, shit, like, I mean, like, even me, like, I shared it because I was just, like, excited. I was like, oh, look at this, you know, and then, like, I did a 3-day fast earlier this week, and, like, just this week, like, every time I turn around, the Lord is giving me some other, like, revelation or confirmation, and I'm just like, ah, like, and so I ended up, like, sharing all of this with him, which is, don't do that. So it kind of, like, robs you of your own surprise. It kind of robs you of having that confidence of knowing, like, he really wants me for me, you know, because you messed with it. You put your hand in the pot, so to speak, you know. And those of us who, you know, if we're really honest, you know, if we come from a broken background and whatever and have some insecurities, especially in this area, like me, you know, we are the ones who especially really need to know that, like, our dude wants us for us, you know, like, without any help, you know, without any interference or anything. So don't do that. Don't rob yourself of that assurance. What else did I want to share? Of course, I'm drawing a blank as usual. Oh, yeah, so I got a random text message yesterday, which then turned into a phone call, of this, fellow YouTuber that I know, and her and I were discussing this whole topic of, like, you know, future husbands and how the Lord reveals it to us ladies first and everything, and so the Lord kind of like had her call me, and I don't even think she knew it necessarily, but I recognized that the Lord sent her to contact me, and we hadn't talked in months, to just kind of like, it was like God putting his foot down of like, stop, like stop contacting him, leave him alone, back off, give him space. And really, like, the more, like, biblical lesson here was that part of this process for us ladies is this, like, wrestling process of dying to ourselves, dying to our flesh. And that's where I'm at right now with all of this. And, of course, it kind of goes like this, but, it would just be way too simple for God to just be like, bloop, here's a husband, right? I mean, come on. Like, of course there's going to be some kind of process of growing and maturing and all of that. And so, don't be surprised if you find yourself in that place where it's just like, Lord, like, really? Like, like, it's, like, exciting on one side, because it's, like, he's finally showing you, like, yes, I have a husband for you, and here's who he is, and here's all the confirmations, and, and, like, you think that would be enough to, like, satisfy us, right? But, like, instead, it, like, this is what God's doing with me, anyway, so I don't know if you guys can relate to this, or will relate to this, or have related to this, but, like, God's showing me, like, he's exposing my heart to me. Like, he's exposing my flesh to me of, like, how I can still be a brat. Like, I can still be this, like, this brat little, kid of, like, but I want it now, right? Like, and so, like, the Lord, that's part of the process that us ladies have to go through before, like, we're completely ready for our husband, is, like, he has to kind of break us of that. He has to break us of that, like, bratty little, like, so that's kind of where I'm at right now, of just like, Lord, like, it's like, you don't want to complain that he's, like, revealing and confirming, because it's like, yay, finally, but at the same token, it's just like, but why are you showing me this if I can't have it, it's like bringing a little kid into, like, a candy bar store, and, like, they want the candy bars and all the chocolate and everything, but, like, not yet, it's like, so anyway, I just wanted to kind of share all that with everybody. So, back in 2016, I was listening to some sermons, and they were saying, like, start writing out, like, what you want in your future spouse, like, characteristics, like, what makes them them, and then, like, I mean, yes, all of us want, like, a certain physical outward appearance or whatever, but, like, that's not what ultimately matters. But, like I said, I've heard testimonies of how God will grant that as well. But it seems, being that we are at the end of the age, this is the end of the world, we're about to enter the tribulation, like, I don't think that's going to be happening maybe as much, hence there's many prophets saying, like, hey, your future spouse isn't going to be your normal type. There's one channel called The Two Shall Be One, and she was, like, God gave her all kinds of, like, revelations, and one of them was that, she said that the husbands were going to come from, like, 5 different groups, and the group that I think applies to me is, so I'm going to be 38, so I'm a little bit older, depending on, I guess, your opinion, but so, she was saying, like, I think one of the categories was, like, carnal. Like, go to her channel and check it out, but, like, she was saying, like, one channel was, like, some men were going to be carnal, some men were going to be, like, younger in comparison to their future wife. So, like, the guy that I think God is revealing to me, I think he's about 6 years younger, so, like, God's giving all these little revelations and insights that he's not going to be your normal type. He might be significantly younger than you to compensate for the fact that, like, men your own age really aren't walking with God or whatever. So anyway, I just wanted to just encourage, but also share some insight, and also just exhort us ladies of like, we need to keep this whole wrestling process with God, this whole process of like him purging us of our brattiness, to ourselves. We need to keep that in the private prayer closet between us and Jesus, because really you're just going to embarrass yourself to your future husband. I've done that. Don't do that. Don't do what I did. You know, and like when you're showing your future spouse like all that, like that's not desirable. You know, you're kind of repelling him. You know, so and then it just kind of feeds your own insecurity, and you know, just not good, not good. So don't do what I did. Write it down in your journal. I know that you want to share it with somebody, and like that's part of my problem is I really have like nobody to share it with. Oh, that's what I wanted to share. So this lady that called me yesterday. So she shared some insight with me as well. So she was convinced that she knew who her future husband was because there seemed to be all of these confirmations. The only thing was that like she wasn't really like physically attracted to him, which to me that's kind of a giveaway. But yeah, we've all got our own little intricate, you know, path and journey and whatever. But so there was a guy that she was convinced that, because there was like all these confirmations, but she wasn't attracted to him. And then like the Lord kind of gave her like a big revelation, and it turned out that that's not her future spouse. But that whole like journey of her thinking and believing that it was led up to this, like it culminated to this climax point where, without like sharing her story, which I don't have permission to do, but like the guy that she thought was her future husband pointed to the guy that she now believes is her future husband. So I wanted to share that as well. So even if you've got a ton of confirmations or whatever, like you could be wrong. And there's been prophecy about that recently as well, that the devil is going to be sending lots of, you know, counterfeit partners and signs and confirmations and numbers and this and that, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned in a previous video. So yeah, don't make an ass of yourself, like I've done, because I could be wrong for all I know. I really don't think I am, but that remains to be seen, you know. So bottom line, the ultimate and the only confirmation that you really want to wait for is for your husband to come to you and say, the Lord revealed to me that you're my future wife. And until that happens, zip it. So, but I also just want to say that going by the confirmations that I think I've gotten, that I'm convinced that I've gotten, the Lord really does work. You know, people, there's that saying of like how the Lord works in mysterious ways. Like, he really does work in like riddles. Like, you have to figure out like all these little riddles, all these little puzzle pieces. And so I'm gonna share something without revealing too much, but like, so like the last confirmation that I just got last night, right? So the guy that I think is my future husband, like, I know that God had given him like a particular like name or whatever, and the Lord reminded me of that like the other night at like 4 a.m, and I thought he was giving me like a word for him or whatever, which I shared, but I later realized like I think that was more God speaking to me, and so I went and looked up the meaning of the name that God gave him. And it was like a clue, it was like a puzzle piece to, so like I've had all these dreams over the past like couple years that involved my ex, and like the context of the dream seemed to point to my ex being the one, but yet I knew, without getting into the history and everything, like I just knew that my ex isn't the one. So it's left me kind of confused. Well, it turns out like the meaning of his name correlates to the meaning of this particular name that God, like, privately gave the guy that I think is the one. So, like, this is how the Lord works. He works in such, like, yes, mysterious, like, riddle, intricate little, like, you really got to pay attention, and you really got to look things up and dig deep and just really listen to, like, the little nudgings of the Holy Spirit and everything. And another confirmation I got just a few days ago was so it was a quick little dream, but, like, it was as if somebody had, like, knocked on my door, and I went and opened the door, and the door was only open, like, a few inches or whatever, but it was, like, what I saw was, like, it was, like, pitch black. But I saw this, like, shadowy figure, and I just sensed and I knew that it was evil. But, like, from, like, the little bit that I could visually make out of it in, like, this shadow is it kind of looked like my ex or whatever, and I think it was basically the devil just using my ex as, like, to give it, like, some form or whatever. But what it said to me was, "What's he doing here?" And then it just, like, left. And it was trying to, like, intimidate me, but it was very symbolic of how, like, I had the door shut and I had to reopen it. And it was, like, trying to, like, use psychology on me of, like, I own you, you know, like, what are you doing trying to engage somebody else? Like, I own you, like, you know. And so, like, if you get something like that going on, that might be a confirmation as well of, like, if you've got, like, the enemy, like, feeling threatened by the fact that, you know, God is, like, speaking to you about your future spouse and all that, like, that could be a confirmation as well. I'm pretty sure it's one of the confirmations I've gotten of just, like, the fact that the enemy feels threatened and is trying to, like, intimidate me. You know, so anyway, I think that was everything I wanted to share. So yeah, I just want to exalt us ladies. Like, let's just, like, the whole point right now is for you to be dying to yourself. It's for you to wrestle things out with God, with Jesus, and to get that, like, brat, that, you know, that, like, selfish, immature, fleshy brat mentality, behavior, like, out of your system, out of sight of your of your future husband, so that he's not seeing all that. Don't put it on display for him like I did. Don't do that. And lady or men, if your potential future wife made the mistake that I've made, give her some grace. You know, maybe she comes from a broken background like I do. Maybe she doesn't really have a support system like I do. Give her some grace, forgive her, and just seek the Lord, you know, for your own confirmations and all of that. And, you know, God is God. He's bigger than anything. He's bigger than anyone's mistakes or foolishness. And he can heal anything. He can mend and heal anything. He can cover anything. So yeah, I think I might take down some older videos and just put this one up, since this one kind of combines everything. But just wanted to share some of that insight, some of those testimonies, and just encourage us ladies to, if you have to like lay belly down on your bed and kick and scream in your bedroom, like, whatever you got to do to wrestle it out with God, just keep it between you and God. Don't do what I did. Don't go and scare off your future husband. You know, ultimately, if you're meant to be with him, the Lord will make it happen. But I do believe that we can delay things, and I think that might be what I might have done to myself here. So I feel like I've kind of tainted things. So don't go and do what I did. Don't go and taint things and delay things for yourself. Okay? All right. I bless you all in Jesus' name. Bye.